Hi everyone, it's Catherine. Today I'm going to read a story called Tiny Bird, A Hummingbird's Amazing Journey, and it's written by Robert Boulay and it's published by Christy Ottaviano Books, Henry Holt and Company. Now I just want you to see that, here you see this? And what this tells us is that a hummingbird's migration often includes a flight of more than 500 miles across the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, if you can see really up close here, it goes like this. I mean, that is amazing for such a tiny little bird. So, and this book also has all sorts of information. The hummingbird's nest is about the size of a quarter. The actual size of a ruby-throated hummingbird is 4.5 inches and 3.5 inches. And a hummingbird's wings beat more than 50 times a second. I can't even comprehend that. This is a chicken egg. This is a hummingbird's egg. Amazing, right? So let's find out about this tiny bird. Today is the day, because now it's fall. In the yard, the last orange flowers open their petals to the slanting sun. A tiny, ruby-throated hummingbird is feeding. Just 3 inches long, tiny bird hovers above a blossom as if hanging from an unseen thread. I don't know, maybe you've seen them outside your window. I've seen them at my sister's house. She has a lot of feeders. Whirl! Its wings flutter more than 50 times a second, so rapidly they're nearly invisible. Zip! It darts up. Zap! It flits down. Flower to flower, backward, forward, under, over, like an acrobat of the air. Radiant green feathers glimmering, ruby throat shimmering, tiny bird delicately dips its beak into the heart of each flower, extracting precious nectar. Oh, wow. It will need so much food when it starts its trip. So this is the backyard. This is where the hummingbird is living. The flowers are fading, insects grow quiet, leaves are turning yellow, autumn is coming. Born in this northeastern yard, Tiny Bird has explored every inch of its small territory. But now it feels a pull and knows it must go. It must leave this familiar place and fly to a far-off winter home. Today is the day. Away, heading south all alone, Tiny Bird begins its amazing journey. Look at this. It flies low, skimming the tops of trees. Zoom, its wings rapidly rotating. Tiny Bird speeds along, sometimes nearly 30 miles an hour. No one sees it gliding over farms, fields, train tracks, smokestacks, houses, and schools. But Tiny Bird sees everything. Its eyes are sharp. It swoops down. Diving down, it spots a few flowers on which to feed. It jabs and pokes. Flickering sideways, it snatches a passing fly and even raids a spider web. More fuel for its long trip. Whoops! Danger! Quickly, Tiny Bird zigzags out of the path of a hawk, reeling from the whoosh of the hawk's enormous wings. And that was a very close call. Day after day, farther and farther, pausing to rest here and there along the way, Tiny Bird travels southward, and yet it must keep going. The most difficult part of its perilous journey is soon to come. The Gulf of Mexico lies waiting. dark blue, deep and vast, it glitters in the sun. Tiny bird lingers for a moment near the shore, its tongue unfurling to gather flower nectar. Quicker than a blink, it nabs one last mosquito. Then into the air, over the first pounding waves, it begins its nonstop flight of more than 20 hours. Can Tiny Bird make it? Many hummingbirds never do. Wow. Here's Tiny Bird. Where is it? Right here. As far as the distant horizon, there is nothing but sky and sea. An empty expanse of water stretches in all directions. Tiny Bird makes its way, staying just inside the curves of the waves to protect itself from the onrushing wind. Wow. Very brave. Watch out! A fish leaps up, its jaws snapping, narrowly missing the little bird. Tiny Bird is very quick. As the setting sun tints the sky orange, dark clouds form. A sudden storm stirs up the sea. Between flashes of lightning, Tiny Bird struggles, fighting through the wind and pelting rain. Thunder crashes. Boom! Slower, slower. Tiny Bird begins to falter, its wings growing heavy as it dips ever closer to the dangerous water. Wow, look at this. Finally, the wind dies down. The storm moves on. In the darkness ahead, a small fishing boat rocks, its dim light swaying, a resting place. Tiny Bird perches lightly on the bow of the wooden boat, gathering strength, then into the night again. It's right up here, taking a rest. Thank goodness that boat was there. Marbled clouds pass. Moonlight opens a smooth and widening path on the water. Millions of stars blanket the sky. At last, Earth's horizon glimmers with the first hint of day. Suddenly, in the dawn light above a wave's curl, land. Green trees and vines, rainbow-hued flowers. The tiny bird is worn and thin after its travels. Exhausted, it rests on a twig for precious seconds. Then it flits into the forest to feed on plentiful flowers and insects. Today is the day. After flying more than 1,500 miles, Tiny Bird has arrived. It has reached its winter home at last. In the spring, it will return, flying back to the same yard it left so many months earlier. But for now, Tiny Bird rests and feeds, flickering from flower to flower like an emerald spark flashing in the bright sun. Yes, today is the day. And you know what amazes me? They go back to the same yard where they were born. I mean, that's just wonderful. So I hope you enjoyed this story about Tiny Bird, and I hope you got some information. I know I did, learned a lot of things I didn't know before. And I will be reading to you again soon. Have a wonderful day.